Welcome back to On Deck Circle Podcast. I am your very cold host, Nick Zaniboni, with my very good friend with the Colorado Rockies hat on today.
Baby.
It's an odd fit, Jason. Jason, before we get to the cold open question of the week, I just have a regular question for you. Thumbs up, thumbs down for the new Cubbies uniform hat.
Do you want it before we get to the cold open?
Yes, yeah. So this is not the question.
I thought that was the cold open question.
No,
I like it. I like it a lot. The only thing I don't like is that you ran out this uniform like 3 years ago, and now we're all of a sudden re-updating it. That was kind of weird, but this is way better.
Yes.
Looks way better. Still rocking that baby blue in there, so that's really cool. It's a Chicago flag. Totally like it more than the ones that they had before.
I'm looking forward to you wearing that hat on a future stream.
Oh yeah, yep, absolutely. I'm gonna cop one of those.
So as I did state before, I am cold. So my question for you this week is, what is the dumbest thing you have ever done, either in a snowstorm or a just like cold spell? All right. 3, 2, 1, play the music. All right, Jason, what do we got?
All right, living here in the Midwest, get some brutal winters, brutal cold. There's endless amount of things I could talk about, but one that really sticks out is when we were younger, probably like in our, you first get your license, and that's sledding behind a car in fresh snow. Classic.
Okay. Yeah, that's a perfect answer, Jason.
Thank you.
Mine, unfortunately, is as an adult. Actually, I was probably like 18. So like technically an adult. So I don't know if I've shared this with you. I used to be / still am like a sneakerhead. So like would like camp out for Jordans like overnight for like 12 hours. But this particular time they weren't allowed in campouts because of a snowstorm. So the mall was still open, but you had to just get there at 8. You couldn't camp out. So I drove in an actual blizzard. My mom was so mad because she was like, "You're doing this for sneakers, blah, 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 blah." Weren't even Jordans. So like I probably in hindsight, I probably could have just waited and like got them the next day. But yeah, they were Reebok Questions, which were Allen Iverson's shoe. I still have them, so like I still own them. Yeah. But it was just, and that's one shoe that's hard for me to give away or sell, just because I have that memory towards it.
Yeah, that's pretty dumb. I mean, I'm not much of a sneakerhead, so I can't talk too much trash. I'm not a sneakerhead. I know people go hard for the sneakers and will do crazy things like that. So I'm not going to get down on you for that.
Thank you.
Well, it is 2025. We're back. It's been a long, holiday break. Things been going on, not only personal lives, but also in the baseball world. We've been having some big news and waves going on here. But so that's why this week we're going to talk about a lot of the free agents signings and the trades that have been happening over the last, I think we last potted about a month ago. So last month we've had some more updates going on here. We're going to talk about some of the fantasy and dynasty impacts that those guys are going to have on your squads. That's what our episode is this week. But before we do so, if you guys are just joining us for the first time, go ahead and subscribe, like this video, join us for all sorts of great content coming forward. I know we got some new guys joining us here on the podcast channel. Got a bunch of new stuff rolling out here at the Fantasy Six Pack channel, not just baseball. We got NBA, we got DFS, We got betting content, all sorts of great stuff. I'm sure all the the Fantasy Six Pack Hour every Thursday night. We got a lot of I'm sure football offseason stuff will start rolling out here before we even know it. And of course, the On Deck Circle will be here for all of your fantasy and dynasty baseball needs. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And hey, throw on the notifications, not just when we go live, but for any time the new video goes up. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, so I think one of the biggest news to talk about in the last month is no other than Roki Sasaki signing with the Dodgers. I think we talked about him a little bit last time we were on, where our predictions were, and I think we both were in agreement on the Dodgers, or did you say have somebody else?
If I'm being completely honest, I probably said the Red Sox.
In true Homer fashion, you probably definitely said the Red Sox.
Again, I don't know if I'm in the camp of like this sucks. Like there's a lot of like memes going around, like he's being Kevin Durant, like joining this. But like, one, you're with people, they're cornering the market of these Japanese Asian players. And like you want to play with people that are like you. Like it's just kind of like, and I'm not going to compare it to Jackie Robinson at all because it is not that. But I'm saying seeing people like this and you're like, okay, I'm not going to be the only person here that has an interpreter. There's like some form of like comfortability built in there. And he knows these guys. Like I literally banked on this because there was a picture of Yoshida and Roki. And I was like, oh, they must be boys. But no, it's great. Like what young Japanese player wouldn't want to play with Shohei Ohtani?
Right.
Like that is their Babe Ruth. Like it's just such a cheat code to like have them. And now you got Yamamoto that like they're great. And I think this is going to touch on what we're going to also talk about later, but like it's the Blake Snells. That's what annoys me. The people that like know who the Dodgers are. Like they're signing every fucking reliever on the market. It's so that's that. And again, it's not the team's fault.
Yep.
This is completely on the players and the other teams not just ponying up extra money. But I've seen a lot of speculation on Twitter that there's going to be a lockout because of all of this. I'm excited. He's obviously your layup of a 1-1 in first-year player drafts. I know that I tried to acquire. I'm currently in a first-year player draft. I tried to acquire the first pick. I failed. But, I think he's probably a top 3 to 5 dynasty starting pitcher, and he hasn't even thrown a pitch yet. So that's always exciting.
Yeah, that was one of the topics I was going to talk about with him is, still only 23 years old. So it's not like one of these other imports that are coming in at like, late 20s. This guy's still only 23 years old. In his 4 seasons in the NPB, he's had a 2.02 ERA, a .88 whip, 524 strikeouts and 400 innings in just a little in those 4 seasons. So this guy is not just like a, your run of the mill, just like guy that's going to come over here and might, be a 4 or 5. This guy is going to like, if he wasn't on the Dodgers, he'd be most teams' number 1 or number 2 pitcher. Carries again, like the big strikeout potential. And in my opinion, I wouldn't go as high as 3 or 5 in Dynasty, but it's definitely a top 10. And like you alluded, he's easily the 1-1 in your FYPD drafts in this year's class. Just because there's not a huge college bat that's like a for sure this guy's going to make a huge impact. And there are good, but not to the extent that you take him over Roki. But he joins the defending world champion Dodgers. Already did this loaded rotation. I mean, that rotation is insane when you look about it. If you think about it, depending on what happens with Kershaw, they have 10 deep on that rotation right now. Because that's not another thing with these signings is not only are they getting these star-started pitchers, that just pushes all the other players down. And now they have the depth to like when they encounter any injuries and such. They have all these other guys. Don't forget, they still have Dustin May. Again, like if Kershaw signs, it's just crazy the amount of depth that they're going to have now. My biggest issue, though, is he going to come over and produce more like Imanaga or Yamamoto? Because I know we saw a lot of ups and downs with Yamamoto. A lot of it's injuries, which is not often. That's more common than people think when these Japanese imports come over. That's way different, right? You're moving to a whole nother country, whole new lifestyle. It's like, I don't know. Which pitcher are we going to get?
I think we're going to get a player in the middle. Like for the first year, I think in 5 years, he's going to be leaps and bounds better than all of them. But like coming in, I think we're going to get that sweet spot. Like, I think it was Yamamoto's first start. It was in Japan and it was awful. And people were just like, oh, blah, 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 blah.
Oh,
but
yeah.
So I actually wanted to read this to you. It's the Dodgers. They have a varsity pitching staff and a JV pitching staff.
Oh, I think I saw this.
The JV is Kershaw, maybe. Dustin May. Bobby Miller? Is that his name?
Yep.
Tony Gosselin, who I completely forgot about. And is it Gavin Stone?
Yep.
Stone. And then the varsity is Ohtani, Snell, Yamamoto, Glasnow, and Roki.
Yeah, it's insane.
So this is my question for you, strictly fantasy-wise, because this is kind of how I'm looking at it too. Do you now tick all of these starters down a bit? Because, like, we might see especially with Ohtani in there, a 6-man rotation, and easily you could limit these guys' innings. Because of all of the depth. Like, you could have in September just Dustin May being an opener for 3 innings, and then you have the fucking bullpen, which is like 15 deep.
Yeah.
So this is something that I think we need, not we, but like as a whole, something that needs to be not discussed, but at least thought about. Because like, I don't think we're going to see 200 innings out of any of these starters, especially when Ohtani gets hurt. Snell is Snell. You might get 200 out of Snell. Yamamoto, nope. They're definitely going to put Roki on an innings limit, especially because I think it was the end of last year, his velocity dipped like a bunch of people. I read some stuff that they thought he was just kind of phoning it in, which isn't great, but I kind of respect it. And then we all know what Tyler Glasnow is. So I think it's something we need to think about, just like, do we love the Dodgers pitching staff in a fantasy way just because you need them for the whole year? And would you sell some of, like, I mean, I would sell Snell anyway, but like, I think it's something we should think about.
No, you bring up a good point, because we know the Dodgers too in the past have always done the like phantom injury in the phantom IL stints. You know that's definitely going to happen this year when you have that much depth. You know, you brought some of those names, Bobby Miller, Gavin Stone. Those are guys that they were running out in the playoffs. So those are not like just some AAA, quadruple A arms. Those are verified, certified MLB starters that can absolutely give you and eat innings in like late July, in August, and rest the guys like Blake Snell and some of these other guys. Like, you know, that means I know when Ohtani was on the Angels, they gave him that like he only pitched on Sunday, right? It was only once every 6 days. I could easily see them doing that again with Ohtani as the Dodgers, let him pitch just like on like this every 6-7 days. So that's a good point. You may want to, maybe temper expectations when it comes to some of these starters for the Dodgers, especially guys like Glasnow, who inevitably will probably, see at least 2 or 3 stints on the IL. Probably only get to that 120, 150 innings pitched, along with a lot of the other guys. So you bring up a valid point there with looking at it from a fantasy perspective.
Sometimes I come with some good stuff, Jason.
Some knowledge, yeah, for sure. All right, well, from one big pitcher signing to one that's even a little bit more, it's a little bit of a shocker too to me. And that's Corbin Burnes signs with the Diamondbacks, gets a 6-year, $210 million deal. Burnes leaves Baltimore just a year after spending only 1 year there. Moves on and gets a long-term deal with Arizona. Shame on Baltimore for not trying to lock this guy up, but whatever. That's Baltimore being Baltimore. But Burnes is coming off a career year. He had career high in wins with 15, career high in quality starts with 22, career best of 292 as a full-time starter. Strikeouts were down a little bit at only 23%, which is the lowest in his rookie season. However, the walks were down as well. And a lot of that strikeout could just be him being in the AL East versus the NL Central. We all know that the NL Central strikes out probably way more than the AL East. You're talking about teams like the Pirates and the Reds and so on. But yeah, he was also paid as one of the top starting pitchers on the market, likely so. I don't know. I think this move to Arizona could be huge for him. He gets to leave the offensive gauntlet of the AL East. Chase Field is massive. It does kind of generate a lot of runs scored, but it doesn't turn a lot of home runs. It ranks only 23rd in home runs according to StatCast Park Factors. So I don't see it definitely not as a downgrade. I'd still continue to rank him as a top 10 dynasty starting pitcher. I was actually shocked because he didn't really – I know he was being drafted in the beginning of the season, but throughout the season, I would have been like, oh, he was probably like a SP2. I looked at his numbers, and I was like, no, other than the strikeouts, he had a very quietly good season. Still made his 32 starts, 15 wins, which is a career high. That's obviously the move to Baltimore help when you're on the best team in the AL record-wise. But yeah, I didn't see him going to the Diamondbacks. And that's not a team I saw ponying up for a pitcher.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of the Snell to the Giants last year. And granted, this happened a lot earlier in the offseason. I feel like Snell was like a late signing then. But yeah, I don't know. This is more of an Orioles story to me. What the hell are they doing? Like, they're really going to trot out who's there? Who? I guess it's Grayson Rodriguez. But hold on 1 second. Projected.
I mean, I think that's just the way that Baltimore is, right? They've never been huge spenders, and they finally started to see some promise out of the farm system. So they were probably like, let's just not pay this guy $200 million. We don't want to.
So right now, according to like projections, we have Zach Eflin is their SP1. Sure, whatever. Didn't even know he was on the Orioles, and we're being completely honest here. Then we have Grayson. Then we have Charlie Morton. Get out. Dean Creamer. Nope. And then they just signed a like 36-year-old from Japan or Korea, one or the other. Like they're gonna regress so much, strictly just from losing Corbin Burnes. But fantasy-wise, again, like you said, I don't think this really matters. I think he picked them because he lives in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
Is that? I think that's the thing. He was like, I just don't feel like fucking moving. Relatable. That is the most relatable thing a baseball player can do is say, I don't feel like moving.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. Again, that I think we could see like another big year from the Diamondbacks. Because last year they kind of regressed, which was expected because 2 years ago was crazy. But now you've got Gallen in a contract year, then Corbin Burnes. Like they have a great 1-2. So I'm actually excited for the D-backs.
Yeah, like I would be like, oh, they got to face the Dodgers a bunch of times, they got to face the Padres a bunch of times, but he's coming from a team where he faced the Yankees multiple times a year, he faced the Red Sox multiple times a year. So everyone last year was like, oh, I don't know, he's going from the NL Central to the AL East. We're probably gonna see a little bit of regression and maybe some falter from Burnes. But the only thing we saw falter last year was the strikeout rate. And if I live with 15 wins, 22 quality starts, and a sub-3 ERA with a little bit of a downgrade in strikeouts. I mean, the guy's been reliable since becoming a starter. He hardly ever misses time. I'm not seeing this as a big downgrade, and I don't even see it as a big upgrade either. Because again, a lot of the offensive gauntlet is in the NL West. So, I mean, I'm holding on steady on track with Corbin Burnes going forward.
Yeah, I would call it just like a neutral fantasy impact. I don't think it's going to hurt him. I don't think it's going to help him. It's just going to be Corbin Burnes. Going to be Corbin Burnes unless he throws the season again, like my theory from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, exactly. All right, before we get to the next guy here, talk about a little something here quick. If you're not playing fantasy baseball on Fantrax, you need to be. You need to sign up today. I know we, as Dynasty players, pretty much solely play on Fantrax. I think actually now my last hometown Dynasty League, which was on CBS, recently made the switch over to Fantrax. And I know not I was a Fantrax pro. I've been using it for years, so I knew what to expect. But a lot of these older guys, like I got uncles and things like that in this league that have, CBS. I've been in CBS forever. They were actually blown away by the quality of playing fantasy baseball on Fantrax. I mean, think about it. Way better, deeper player pools. They've already got, especially if you play in an open universe league like this one is, like, you're talking about Roki Sasaki's been on this website for years to come, probably 2 or 3 years. So, if you guys don't do, some leagues don't do FYPD. They just have an open universe where you can draft the guy in your normal year-to-year draft. You can do that on Fantrax. And CBS and Yahoo and ESPN, they couldn't even fathom having Roki's. I bet you Roki Sasaki's not even on ESPN right now. Not only is the player pool super deep, but Fantrax is available year-round. You can make these off-season trades in November, December, which you think you can go on ESPN right now and find a fantasy baseball league? No way. It ain't happening. So get on over to Fantrax, move your league, convince your commissioner, get over there now. And I know a lot of times they have a lot of promotions going on, but use /fantasy 6-pack. Get your league moved over today.
Hell yeah. Go Fantrax.
All right. Well, from we already had 2 signings already. This one is a little bit more perplexing. Classic baseball. We still have some of these top free agents not signed. We talked about it before getting into the show. Spring training, pitchers and catchers is in like 3 weeks. Games are in 30 days. And yet Alex Bregman still does not have a team. I bring up, Bregman, not only because I'm a Cubs, because I hear a lot of rumors of Bregman to the Cubs, but he fascinates me. He seems to be witnessing some of this decline in him, possibly up to 30 years old now. We've seen his OPS decline year over year since 2022. The power numbers have kind of still stayed steady, right in that 20 to 30 range. I don't think we ever get back to that 2018, 2019 season when he was hitting 30 and even 40 home runs in 2019. That may have been a live ball season. I can't remember quite. Yeah, it's hard to keep track of what season was a live ball season, but 40 home runs is not coming back for Bregman, especially because a lot of his value, a lot of the power relies on pull heavy, right? He's a pull heavy player. So depending on where he signs, this could be detrimental to where, he goes. I've heard rumors of him going to the Tigers. That would obviously take a huge hit on his power if he goes to Detroit. I've heard Toronto and even the Cubs. I don't know. Red Sox? You want him to go to Red Sox?
No, he is. He's coming.
Oh.
My sources. I got sources. I got people telling me playing second base.
Oh.
Yep. I'm excited. No, Jason.
This guy's so serious. He's like, I'm serious.
No, he's just fucking around. If Bregman is not playing second base for the Boston Red Sox on opening day, I will.
Don't put out some crazy thing that's gonna go viral on the internet. Like, like these. Have you seen these clips?
Oh no, I'm not gonna be like eat a bowl of shit or something.
Yeah. I could see you getting caught up in that, bro. Someone clip it and put it all over Twitter. There was some guy.
Okay, no, got it. If he's not signed to the Red Sox by TGFBI,
okay,
I will draft 4 straight pitchers
to start off TGFBI
of the first 4 rounds.
Yeah, but this is like a little bit of a loophole because you've been practicing going.
Hey.
You've been going pitcher heavy in all the mock drafts, so I don't know if this is much of a penalty. But stand up, we're going to clip it, and we're going to remember on January 21st at 6 p.m. Central, Nick Zaniboni claims Bregman to the Red Sox playing second base. I'm all for him going anywhere. A guy like this should not be unsigned. Goes back onto MLB and their stupid free agency rules.
Yeah,
Bregman should be on a team. As many of the quality of the minor league, I know everyone wants to believe in their farm system. Bregman is a very valuable asset. Should be on a team by now.
I completely agree. I think he knows. He strikes me as someone that wants to still put up numbers, and I think he knows if he goes to Detroit, he won't put up those numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he would do very well at Fenway. So put in the universe, second base by the end of the month, February.
Joe Bond in the house. What's up, buddy?
I'm not getting myself in trouble saying that Alex Bregman's playing second base for the Red Sox, but he is. That's all.
Okay. Well, from Red Sox talk to Yankees talk, Max Fried signs with the Yankees. Since last time we've talked, gets 8 years, $218 million. They missed out on Roki Sasaki and Juan Soto, so they're like, screw it. We're just gonna throw our money elsewhere. So much so that I feel like they highly overpaid for Max Fried. But that's lo and behold a different topic. But yeah, they give Max Fried 8 years. Who's already 31 years old, by the way. So they signed him through his 39-year-old. I don't know. I didn't really check the buyouts. I didn't look at Sport Track, but he will be 39 when that contract expires. $218 million, which is actually the largest contract in MLB history for a left-handed pitcher. He gets basically the same amount as Corbin Burnes, but less AV than Burnes because it's obviously 8 years compared to 6. I don't know. In my opinion, this is a huge downgrade for Fried. He lived in the AL or the NL East. Now he gets to go and play in the AL East. I know the Yankees, has the offense to get him those wins, but I don't know. I've never been a huge Fried guy. I'd be looking to sell him in any dynasty format you can, especially after this signing onto the Yankees. I'm sure there's, that East Coast bias. I'm sure there's a ton of Yankees fans in your leagues. Get out there and throw some trade offers. Get rid of them now while you can. I don't see this going well. I mean, maybe a year or two if you're lucky. And even for redraft, I don't know what his ADP is right now. If you want to look that up, or I can look that up. But I'm never been a huge a Fried guy, so I don't know.
Yeah. So what's funny is, as you were speaking, I was looking up ADPs because I have another bold proclamation.
Okay.
So right now, Max Fried has an ADP average of about 88.
Wow. Okay. What's that as far as when you look at like as an SP? What SPs have you been taking?
1 second, please. Max 24. So SP 24.
So still an SP2.
Yep. And here is my proclamation. Walker Buehler, who signed with the Red Sox,
yeah,
will outperform Max Fried. This isn't a bold prediction show, but there's coming out of my pores.
I honestly don't hate that. I feel like Walker Buehler is one of those guys that's like a post-hype guy now. I know we saw him come back a little bit last year.
Yep.
Had his struggles, but hey, this could be the new scene revival status.
His ADP 225.
Remind me, is
Walker Buehler at 225?
Remind me, is Andrew Miller still the pitching coach there?
Oh no,
Bailey. No, Andrew Bailey.
Andrew Bailey is the pitching coach, and he is a wizard.
Yeah, so there we go.
So I'm and Breslow's the GM. So like, there's a lot of arms, and I think Walker Buehler might have a gigantic year. Not like Cy Young great, but yeah. I think Max Fried, especially in that ballpark, is going to struggle. So, and I love when the Yankees overpay. Like, look at fucking Rondon. Bum.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I want to say I was shocked by the money that Max Fried got, but then I remembered it was the Yankees, and I was like, how can I be shocked when they consistently overpay for anybody that they want? So
smoke them if you got them.
All right, well, we'll stay in the AL East here, and we're going to talk about Anthony Santander. Another guy leaving Baltimore, signs with the Blue Jays, 5 years, $93 million. I believe a lot of it is being deferred, so they're kind of following in that LA Dodgers deferment camp. But coming off a huge year in 2024, 44 home runs, 91 runs, 102 RBIs. The home runs were obviously a career best in his first season with 40-plus home runs last year. It's also his third straight season with 28-plus home runs. However, when you look at his stats, he really only contributes in the power department. He's got a career batting average of only 246. Never had a batting average above 265. And even his OBP leaves more to be desired. He holds a 307 OBP, so just barely over 300. Never had a season with an OBP above 325. I don't know if he can consistently continue to. He's obviously not going to. I don't foresee him hitting 40 home runs ever again. I mean, maybe in that 20 to 25 to 35 home runs, and that's being kind of generous. I mean, go Blue Jays. They kind of struck out on everybody.
Like, this was like a good try, good effort, guys. Like, yes, you signed someone, whatever. You said 5 years for $90 million, right?
Yep.
Tell me what player in 2002 signed a 5-year, $90 million contract.
It sounds like I don't even know. 2000. That's 23 years ago.
Yeah, crazy. I'll give you.
I don't even know who.
Greatest hitter to ever play the game.
Ichiro, Miguel Cabrera.
Barry Bonds, Jason. Oh. Come on. And Santander ain't no Barry Bonds.
No.
Get out of here. That's going to be so bad in like a year. And it's so funny just because, like, maybe he hits 30 home runs. Like, I just don't see it with him. Like, he's someone that I genuinely don't believe is good at baseball. He's good at baseball because, like, he's good. But, like, that's not it for him. But, like, again, you get what you get what you get. But 5 years, it's going to look bad in, like, 2 years.
Yeah, and from a fantasy and even dynasty standpoint, this, to me, is a downgrade going to the Blue Jays. He leaves one of the best offensive lineups in not only the AL but all of baseball with the Orioles, and now just goes to a sputtering Blue Jays offense. And they got Vlad. Bichette's been way down and struggling for a while now, so I don't really see this as much of an upgrade for going to the Blue Jays. I'd prefer him if he would have kind of stayed with Baltimore, but Baltimore's going to do what Baltimore does, and they're going to let other players walk.
Alrighty.
All right, before we get into some of the trades here, real quick again, I know some of you guys, if you've been watching, probably have been this before, but we got the Fantasy Six-Pack series rolling out again. If you're unfamiliar with it, it's a multiple few hundred people league. It's kind of set up and run so that not only do the fans and the readers and the watchers get to also compete as well as the writers and the podcasters. It kind of gives a little bit of a spin. TGFBI is basically reserved for any industry folks. This kind of combines both the industry folks as well as the players. It's a super fun experience. I know we've all been in it for the last, 3 years now. I think Joe Bond finally, got the monkey off his shoulder and won last year. Owner of the Fantasy Six-Pack. So super fun. Roto League. Get on over. I know we got a ton of guys. I know we're all signed up for it. A lot of the industry folks signed up for it. I believe, you name it, they're in it. Always a super good time. It's a Roto League, so it runs season long, which always gives you a nice upgrade. And then you not only get to compete against your league, but you also get to compete against all 100 of us that are in it. It's like almost like a really fun experience. And then not only that, but winner gets a free. Oh, I forgot to mention, it's free to enter, and the winner gets a free trophy from Trophy Smack. So that's super cool. I mean, it's one of these, like, not just some small little, like, Little League trophy. It's a pretty predominant, like,
it's crazy. And
big trophy with a mitt on it.
I think this year, tell me if I'm wrong, and I'm sorry if I'm spreading the misinformation. This year it's weekly too, which I'm happy about. Yes.
What's that?
It's weekly now.
Oh, right. Weekly. Yes.
So that's
huge
especially
update.
With so, like, it's so fun to be able to be in these types of leagues with all of these like
Yep.
I'm such a pimple on the ass of the talent that is in this. So it's cool to really experience it. And I love that it's weekly now, just because the day-to-day grind is hard. Like,
yeah,
I'm in too many leagues.
Yep.
And, like, some of them are free, some of them aren't, whatever. And I love to give them all of their own amount of attention. But it's really hard to give them all attention when it's at everyone's daily. So I'm very excited for this to be weekly, and I'm just going to draft 15 pitchers.
Yeah, you bring that up, and I'm in another weekly Dynasty League. I'm actually going to start a petition that all Dynasty Leagues should be set up as weekly. It's not only is it less time constraints and less time consuming, but I feel like it adds a lot more strategy to the game than the right, because anyone can go on their lineup on their roster Monday morning, Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, swap out the guys that aren't batting that week. When you got to take in consideration how many lefties this guy is facing, how many righties is this guy facing, this guy's a 2-star pitcher, this guy's a 1-star pitcher. Those kind of strategic decisions, to me, have rekindled my love for not just fantasy baseball, but Dynasty Baseball especially, because once you get into the season, the only thing you have to look forward to in Dynasty Baseball is making a trade and being in contention or selling if you're not in contention. So to get that extra little bit of layer of strategy by making it weekly, huge. And I'm here to put my flag plant down in that all Dynasty Baseball leagues should be weekly lineups. All right. That's my stance for 2025.
So let it be done.
So get your commissioners to change your Dynasty leagues to weekly. Would you want to do redraft? That's where the daily can come into hand. You know what I mean? You do keep your daily lineups on redraft. But Dynasty, let's get this moved over to weekly. But yes, Fantasy 6-pack lineup today. Weekly lineups, hundreds of contestants, both fans as well as industry folks. Super good time. Now, how appropriate is it? Not only are we going to talk trades here in the offseason, but the two biggest trades were by the two homer teams. We actually can't even be called homers for talking about the biggest trades of the offseason when they just happen to include our teams. The first one we're going to talk about is my team. Kyle Tucker traded to the Cubs. Still got 1 year left of team control. They did just avoid arbitration with them. He's only going to cost them $16 million around that range for 2025, which is just an insane figure when you see Santander get $93 million for 5. You get Kyle Tucker for only $16 million a year, way less than he'd be on the open market. He did have some injuries in 2024, missed some time, but when he's healthy, man, this is like a highly efficient MVP caliber bat. He's basically had 3 straight seasons where he's hovered around 30-30. He had a season where he missed 30-30 by just 1 home run in 2023, so 2 years ago. Last year, I think he still had like 20 home runs, 11 stolen bases, so still had a 2010 season last year.
And he was hurt for like 3 months.
Yeah. He's got a career slash line of 289, 408, 585. He's never had a WRC plus less than 120. Hovers right around a 4 to 5 WAR player. So the fact that Houston was like, we're just going to let this guy walk, we're not going to re-sign him. Maybe they already had some, I don't know. I didn't hear anything about preliminary extension talks, but they're letting him walk, which their loss is my gain and the Cubs' gain. Super shocking. I'm a little worried, though, because the Ricketts did come out and say that we're broke. Somehow the Cubs are broke. They break even every year, make that make sense. But if they traded what they traded away to not even attempt to re-sign, Tucker is going to make me blow my gasket.
Yeah.
So,
Tucker is so good.
Yeah.
He's the perfect Cub, too. Like, I feel like he's going to buy into everything there, and I think the fans are going to love him, obviously, because he's a stud. But like you said, you got to sign him. And, like, so what was it? Cam Smith, which was your first round of this year.
Yep.
And then who else was in there?
Oh, man, I have to look it up. Because it wasn't like, the guy that we just traded for from the third baseman.
Morel?
No, the guy we traded Morel for. What the hell is that? Oh, Isaiah Paredes. Took me a minute to think of his name.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
And then a couple other lower tier guys.
Ancillary pieces, yeah. But ideally you trade for him to sign him. And that's just kind of what you have to like believe is going to happen. You can't have that worry. You need to enjoy what you got. And you know what? If they can't trade it, if they can't sign him, they'll trade him. So we'll get something. But yeah, I'd be fucking pumped if I was you. That was a huge get.
Yeah, I mean, they traded away Cam Smith. Obviously, probably the biggest piece in that deal was I think it was like the 15th overall pick in last year's draft. He's the type, Cam Smith is the type of guy you draft that you hope turns into Kyle Tucker, right? Um, he was a college bat, so he wasn't some super young guy that you hope to get. He might be able to fast track, but you're not going to get him. Obviously, Kyle Tucker is a day one starter. Hopefully, you can re-sign him to at least a 5 or 6 year deal. That would be ideal. But yeah, I mean, if you make that deal and you can't lock him up long term, I'm going to be sad. But this is it. To me, this is a huge, huge boost for Kyle Tucker for fantasy purposes and dynasty purposes. Like you said, those hot summer days, playing outdoors in Wrigley, the ball flies out of there. We know when the wind blows, when the wind's out. I don't know. This to me, I feel like the Cubs lineup is better than Houston's lineup is, especially now after the swap of what we have. Yeah, I mean, wheels up for Kyle Tucker. I know he probably what's his ADP right now? It might have probably upticked a little bit because of the trade was about a month ago, but
all right, Tucker. I'm just doing hitters, but it won't matter.
I'm just curious. I'm wondering if he's had an uptick since the trade and not only uptick, only because I bet you he had a little bit of a downtick because of the.
All right, his average is 8.6, so let's call it 9.
Yeah,
I'd probably say it's probably around the same.
So he's like the 9th hitter being taken. So it's still probably a first round pick.
Oh no, 9th player overall.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, so you do have pitchers included.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So he's still at the back end of the first round, middle of a 15-teamer.
Yeah.
I mean, if he can stay healthy, he could start to produce that. He probably out exceeds that ADP if I'm being honest.
Yeah, he single-handedly lost me a season last year. My team was so good, and then he just died because he fucking fouled a ball off his leg or some shit. Like I was just like, all right, see you later, Kyle. So I will not be drafting Kyle Tucker this year, just out of my own.
Yeah, I mean, I think will exceed his ADP, but that's a steep ADP asking price for sure.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, well, we talked about the Cubs. Now let's talk about one of the trades your Boston Red Sox made, and they land Garrett Crochet. The White Sox continue to be weird and do weird downward spiral. They're probably going to repeat history and probably even break their own worst record that they were last year. Could you name one starting pitcher on the White Sox right now?
Jonathan Cannon.
Okay. But yeah, they have just. I mean, could you name one hitter that's not Lubab or Andy Long?
Kyle Teal.
Well, okay, that doesn't kind of. Anyways,
all right, fine.
Gonna be awful.
Josh Rojas.
There we go.
They just signed him.
They just do weird things like this all the time. You get an anchor to your pitching rotation. What do? You trade them off
to the Red Sox.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The Red Sox, they gave up some nice pieces, right? They gave up Teal, they gave up Brandon Montgomery, they gave up Meredith.
Yeah.
But I think there's still a win for Boston, right? Like they're in a very much win now team. They get a great piece right now. It's already going to be an anchor, probably their SP1 as long as he can stay healthy. Or give them. Let's not stay healthy. If they can release the reins, right? We've seen him kind of get in a little bit of an inning constraint last year, which was also really weird. They let him go like 2 innings, then they let him go 5, then they let him go 1 inning. It was just the weirdest thing the way they handled his innings pitched last year. I would have liked to seen him just shut him down, especially if you know you're going to think you're going to trade him. Just give him those 5-inning games and then shut him down in like August, end of July. That was so weird what they did. But yeah, gets a huge boost after getting out from the White Sox. I think he's going to get a huge boost of wins, quality starts, probably even his ERA. Gets around a solid winning environment. Again, I just kind of alluded to already. My only concern is the lack of his innings pitched and the starts. He spent the majority of his career being a relief pitcher both at Tennessee and for the White Sox. But he also came up and showed that in the beginning of the season he can handle, at least the first half of the season, could handle the workload of a starter. But yeah, I mean, this guy's a stud. Strikeout capabilities through the roof. He had a 13 K per 9, 200 strikeouts in only 146 innings last year.
Wild.
So
stud. Super excited. Hold on one second. He's currently the second favorite for AL Cy Young, which is, I do not love that. Like, it's not,
No.
I was hoping for like fifth, sixth to get some value, but it's Skubal, then Crochet. And I was like, okay, that's a little weird, but it's the Boston bias. I'm with it. So I'm very excited. So much so, I traded for Garrett Crochet today. Today, I made a deal with someone. I made a deal with the devil, if you will. I traded Jackson Merrill straight up for Garrett Crochet. Seemed fine. Merrill's very good, but I don't know if he's great at anything. He's not going to hit 30 home runs. He's not going to steal 30 bases. He will drive in some runs.
Got a very good floor.
But Crochet, like, that could be, we could be talking about him being like a top 3 dynasty starting pitcher, maybe top 5 dynasty starting pitcher going into next season if he has a big year. So definitely worth the risk. My only concern, I don't care about any of the prospects they gave up, like whatever, prospects are prospects. We kept our big 3, which was Roman Anthony, Christian Campbell, and Marcelo Mayer, which is, it's so funny because Mayer's like a distant third, and like 2 years ago it was like Mayer's our savior. Yeah, I'm very excited just to have a guy, a lefty, a fucking horse. You know, I think he's older than Skubal, but like they're very similar. I think you give me 5 years of John Lackey and I'll be set. Not like, but like John Lackey, the guy you give the ball to and he's like, fuck you, I'm pitching this down your throat.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I want. Not necessarily because John Lackey wasn't like the greatest pitcher ever, but like you just want I think this guy has the balls to pitch in Boston and to be great. So very excited.
And that's why I don't really have too much concern about his workload, is he has that body I think they can handle. I mean, he did 146. He did 146 innings last year. Not like he only threw like 70, 80 innings. He did throw 146 innings last year. And I think he can easily get to 170 minimum this year and not have any issues. And if not even more, because like I said, you talk about big guy in the mound, big horse. Love it. Love the deal for the Red Sox, just destroying all hopes of the White Sox being in any sort of non-baseball hell for the next year at least, maybe more to come. But that's going to wrap up this week. Before I get out of here, though, we got some other big news that is out today, or maybe in the last month or so. And I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the 30 Rock League.
Wait, what?
It's gone. You didn't know that?
For real?
Yeah, it's for real. It's gone.
Nah.
Yes, I swear to God.
Hold on.
You haven't been following this?
No. I thought the chat's been quiet.
It's not on Twitter. It's been on the Fantrax app. For those who don't know, 30 Rock is basically what has catapulted not only this On Deck Circle podcast, but our association with Fantasy Six Pack. Me and Nick don't even know each other up until about 4 years ago when we joined a 30-man team, 30-team league of a bunch of random people through Twitter. And it was going on for, I think, like 4 years running. It is coming to an end. And I'd be remiss if I didn't pour one out for the 30 Rock League.
Andy just fucking broke the news.
I can't believe I broke that news to you. It's been kind of going on back and forth for a while.
I know. I was just kind of like,
everyone's like, should we keep it? Should we not? There was a lot of people that didn't want to keep it. A lot of people and the parity was so bad in that league. So I was kind of the one that was like,
some owners were fucking jackasses.
Yeah. So yeah, wow. I just before I got out of here, I had to throw a little shout out to the RIP to the 30 Rock. Like I said, it wasn't for 30 Rock, I wouldn't have met Dave. I wouldn't have met Nick. I wouldn't have met Joe. I wouldn't be on this platform right now. So shout out 30 Rock. Pour one out for the 30 Rock League.
This is crazy, man.
Look, even Joe said 30 Rock is no more.
Let's just start a new 30-team league. Who doesn't love a draft?
What's that?
Let's just do like a best ball of a 30-team league. I think that's
We
perfect.
should. I'd be down for that. Throw it in the chat.
Yeah,
that's gonna do it for now.
Yeah, I'm gonna fucking do that. All right, cool.
All right, well, we're gonna get back now to a regular schedule now that baseball's ramping up. We're in the new year. Holidays are over. We got all that gone out of our way. So be on the lookout next week. It should be live again around the same time. Take it easy.